Today's lesson is 13.8, Comparing and Ordering Decimals. The objective for today is that I will use the decimal place value to compare and order decimals. In your notes, you should have a place value chart similar to the one that's pink and orange right here in your notes. Which of these numbers is the greatest, and how do you know? Well, the first thing that I want to do is I want to take all three of these numbers and write them into my place value chart. So you should have your place value chart glued in. So go ahead and write these in with me. So the first thing, for all three of my numbers, I don't see a single number in the ones place. So I'm going to go ahead and write a 0 in the ones place for each of them. So I'm now going to go one at a time. In this first one, I have 6,700. So I have a 6 in the 10 and 7 in the hundreds. The next one, I have a 6 in the tenths and a 6 in the hundreds. Next one, I have a 7 in the tenth. I don't have anything in the hundreds, but I could have a 0 if I wanted to. But otherwise, I could leave it blank. But leaving a number blank after the first place value is the same thing as saying there could be a 0 there. The 7 is in the tenths place. So what I need to do is I need to look at each place value and compare them. Well, right here, I compare my tenths place first. Well, 6 and 6 are the same, so neither one of those are the greatest. So then I go to my largest number, and 70 hundredths, or 7 tenths, is my greatest. And I know that because it has the largest number in the tenths place, which is my largest place value. So if I think about money, when I think about tenths place, I think about my dimes. When I think about hundredths place, I think about my pennies. So if I think about what I have right here, if I said this, I would have 66 cents. Would be the same thing as saying, well, maybe I'd have 6 dimes and 6 pennies because it's each place value. Well, 7 dimes would be more than that. So that is also another way to kind of visually think about how the numbers and decimals are bigger than others. In your notes, I want you to use your place value chart to go ahead and write these in your chart, and then let's write them in order from least to greatest. So the first thing I'm doing is writing them in my place value chart. So writing in each one based on the place value they're at. I'll start with 2 and 48 hundredths. So that's a 2 in the ones place, a 4 in the tenths, and an 8 in the hundredths. Next one I'll do is my 1 in the ones place, a 4 in the tenths place, and another 8 in the hundredths place. The last one would be 2 and 5 tenths. So we're at 2 and a 5 in the tenths place. So again, I go place value by place value. This time, whatever you have on the left side of your decimal point, which is what's represented right here, those are going to be the larger numbers. So, 2 and 48 hundredths and 2 and 5 tenths is where I'm looking first, because those ones are the same. So I want to write them in order. Oh, this one wants me in order from least to greatest. So I start with which one's the smallest. So writing it in order from least to greatest, I would have 1 and 48 hundredths. Then I look to the next place value. I've already done my 1 and 48 hundredths, so I'm going to ignore this row for now. So I'm comparing the tenths. Which one is smaller? Well, 2 and 48 hundredths would be smaller, leaving the greatest to be 2 and 5 tenths. You should have that written down on your chart in your notes. So we always write the numbers in order, and we compare the greatest place value first. Please go ahead and include this in your notes as well. Remember that you can always pause the video if you feel like it's going too fast and you don't have enough time to write down what is on the slide. We're going to use the grids, or the numbers or place value charts. We can use those to help us to compare them. But I also can just take a look at each place value individually. So I look at my largest place value. Well, 7 tenths and 5 tenths, this one would be greater, so I could write my greater than sign here. Looking at my next one, 2 is in the tenths, 3 is in the tenth. That would mean that 32 hundredths would be greater. So I want you to do numbers 3 and 4, and then write these ones in order from least to greatest. Make sure you write them down in the correct order, starting with the least. Have those ready to go in your notes.